Hi, Statesmen Nation. Welcome back to another Coaches Show. I'm Wade Steinlug, Assistant Athletic Director of Communications here at William Penn, filling in for Dylan Stites, who is under the weather this week. You have me this week, but you also have a trio of coaches, including head women's bowling coach Kirsten Foster. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, last week here in the Athletic Communications office. We'll be back at Wood Iron Grill next week, but we've been so incredibly grateful for you to be patient with us as we've worked through their renovations and us finding a different way to do this. But Coach, all right, you haven't been on the show for a while. We haven't talked to you in a while, so let's catch up on the season. Most notably, the title at the Las Vegas Collegiate Shootout, huge event there. In Sin City, you guys came away with a big one, and now you've been off for a while. So, are we still let's recap that first, and we'll talk from there.
Yeah, so Vegas was a very good turnout for us. Normally is. We started off with the Glenn Carlson, finished with the top 10 finish there, just barely missing match play. And I think the girls took that as, no, we got to be better next tournament. And so they showed up to the next tournament, and they just struck a lot more. After looking over our stats, I had 3 girls that struck over 50% of the time, which is a lot on the female side.
Right.
So they came to accomplish some business, and they did it.
Yeah. Speaking of big business, Gabby Evans, first ever 300 game in school history. Recap that a little bit. I mean, that's something. We've had some high 200s and stuff, but never that 300. So what was the emotions going through in the final couple of frames there?
It was, for her, she was very calm and collected on the outside. She just kept doing the same thing. One thing we preach is a pre-shot routine. So you do the same thing before, get the same mindset, buckle it all down to muscle memory.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting part about it is she did a ball change in the middle of the game.
Oh, really? Wow.
She started off the first 3. Everyone says, oh, were they lucky shots in the 10th? And I was like, no, her 2 lucky shots were the second and third frame.
Right.
She posted a good shot the first frame, looked great. Comes to the second shot, her ball had a little bit of different motion, and it still struck. So I was like, okay, maybe it was a fluke.
Yeah, right.
Goes to the third frame, which she jumps to the other lane, and she, ball does a similar motion, and barely takes out the 10 pin, and I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna keep doing this.
Right.
So when she comes to me and she's like, that was weird, right? Like that wasn't a very good hit, and I was like, no, I think I want you to do a ball change.
Yeah.
She's like, you sure? I was like, I'm sure if you're sure.
Yeah.
I was like, you just got to be confident with the shot, and it's going to make a world of a difference. She's like, you got it, boss, and rest was history.
Right.
She punched every shot, nailed it, executed every shot on point. When she stepped up for the 10th frame, I was not concerned. It's just one of those things as a coach, when you see an athlete and they're in the zone, you just get that gut feeling, and I knew.
Yeah.
I knew she was punching out. If she did, it was because of bad carry.
Right,
It wasn't because of bad shot making.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
It was time coming. I told the girls when I took over, because leading up to this, my sister owned the high game.
Yeah.
So
and let you know about it every time, probably.
Oh,
right?
it does every time. And I had other girls that were like, "Oh, was that you?" And I'm like, No, it was not. It was my sister. And so I told the girls when I first took over, I was like, "It is your job to take her name off the board."
There you go.
And so when Gabby turned around, came back, gave the high fives, and she was like, "There's a new name on the board."
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. I actually texted my sister after that.
There you go. Yeah. Well, sorry, Brielle, but had to happen. Eventually, we were going to get that 300 and got there.
She was totally supportive of it. She thought it was cool. So
that's awesome. All right. Well, since then, you guys had a little bit different schedule this year, where you did not compete during January. Obviously, school year is a little bit different too the last couple of years, so didn't affect them too much. I mean, you guys only had a couple weeks back on campus with no actual events. But talk about what you guys have done since then, just to stay fresh, be ready for competition again.
Yeah, so we've just been really buckling down on our practicing, doing a lot of spare shooting practice, because as much as I love the fact that I girls strike that much, the reality of that happening again is not very high. So buckle down on spare shooting, learning different games about lane play, learning more about our arsenal, doing mental game sessions. So just kind of honing in, trying to keep up that feed and move that on to the next tournaments. I think it paid off that we didn't compete in the month of January, because the 2 weekends we would have bowled, they were surrounded by bad weather.
Right.
So there was a chance we might not even been able to make it anyways. So I think it it's kind of like a blessing in disguise
Yeah.
type of thing. So, and I think the girls really enjoyed not having to come back after break and
Yeah.
immediately jump into a tournament. Gives them time to get in, get started with the academics, get used to the flow of the new time management they need, and then
Exactly.
really hone in and concentrate for those next ones coming up.
All right, well, the next one's coming up. Couple of NAIA weekend, that's what they're called, right? NAIA
Yes.
weekend events this
Regionals.
weekend, yeah. So talk about that, kind of the format, how it came about, etc.
Yeah, so it came about because one of the things they're really focusing on in the next couple of years for bowling is to actually shorten the season.
Okay.
Try to condense a little bit more because right now we compete from October until
April. Yeah.
And it's a really long season. It's very spaced out. It's just when you're trying to juggle being a student and an athlete, that's a lot.
Yeah.
They don't ever get a break from each other, which sometimes is necessary.
Yeah.
So they're working on trying to condense it, and so this is more of like a tester.
Sure.
They took the idea from COVID season
Okay.
when they had to condense everything down into one semester, and so with that they decided to, instead of making it one tournament over a full weekend,
Yeah.
it is 2 tournaments over a full weekend.
Yeah.
So day 1 we'll bowl 5 individual games, and then we'll follow it up with 12 Baker games,
Gotcha.
and then the top 8 teams make match play and they compete for the title.
Sure. Okay.
And then get a little bit of a break, come back Sunday, and we bowl 7 team games, and it's just whoever has the highest pinfall wins. And so it's
really simple, really short Sunday then.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Gotcha.
it's going to be interesting. The reason why I say that because the girls really light up during match play.
Yeah.
Is one of the things I've always said is when they get into match play mode, good luck to the teams we bowl against because they need to be on point because I know my girls are going to be on point.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they tackle the challenge of Sunday, knowing it's just total pinfall. There's no match play involved. So they have to, they can't just skate by into match play. They've got to step up the whole way through.
Yeah.
So
That's true. All right. More than halfway through the year, just a couple of tournaments left before you go to sectionals and hopefully from there, qualify for nationals. So how do you feel like the team is set up going into the final run here?
I think they're set up really good. One of the things we try to do is we give everyone a chance. We want to see who's our, we take 8 into postseason. We really like to see who's the 8 that are performing well, but performing well together. And so we've been kind of experimenting around a little bit with that. We're still doing some more experimenting this weekend, but we're hoping by Hoosier, which is our next tournament, that we'll have that set in stone. But for us, I felt pretty confident about Vegas. We had a meeting with some of the girls. There was a little bit of discord. And so we sat down with them and made them talk it out. And ever since then, they've been acting more as a unit, which sounds weird talking about in the terms of bowling because everybody throws their own shot, their scores all add up together, so most people don't think of it as a team sport, but if your team collectively behind you is not supporting you, it makes it harder to execute those shots. And so we had a pretty good heart-to-heart about it, like, you guys are kind of there, but you're not there yet. And then Vegas, they really clicked.
Right.
So as long as they continue to click, I'm excited to see how these next tournaments go because they prove that they can keep up with the best. So I hope they continue with that mentality, knowing that they can achieve what they want to achieve.
There you go. All right, final question. Again, now that we're so far into the season, you've seen a lot of the conference foes. Not sure if we're going to see you again before conference tournament. Probably will, maybe not. Let's talk about just where do the Statesmen kind of fit into that picture? Are we still expecting that we're in a good position?
I feel very strong about our position going into it right now. Just in rankings, we're the highest ranked team, which goes off of qualifying. Now, match play, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I like my team's mentality in match play, and that's really when it comes to conference. That's who's gonna come out on top is whoever wins the match play portion. And so they just have this grit about them that they might be down in the game, but they're not giving up until that last shot's thrown. And that's not something, as much as I would love to say I can teach that, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't teach them to have that drive and that grit and that mentality when the moment counts. And I'm pretty confident. I've seen my team do it before, and I know they can do it again. And, I've got a few seniors that have a chip on their shoulders.
Oh, yes, I remember that from last year. They want to finish business, right?
Oh, lots of unfinished business. Yeah. So they are, they're not underestimating our competition, but they have a vendetta.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I like to see, as long as they channel it the correct way, good luck to our conference.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And good luck to the nation to that point. I mean, again, we might not talk to you for a while, so it might be the next time we talk to you is getting ready for nationals and all that. But yeah, best of luck, Coach. Lawrence, Kansas this weekend, right?
Yes, Lawrence,
Kansas, yeah, and Topeka for a couple of NAIA weekend events, some regional things. So best of luck to the women's bowling team. When we come back, we'll be talking to another coach here on the Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. We're now sitting down with head men's volleyball coach Luke Bentley. Coach, you got a weekend already. It was an interesting week playing some top 10 teams. Let's just quickly recap what we got out of those that 2-1 week.
Yeah, we went to Chicago and played 3 matches in a row. Started out with Ottawa, Arizona. You mentioned top 10 team, so they're number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Lost 3-1 to them, and then turned around and played a receiving votes Judson team, and ended up getting our first win of the year. And then the very next day, the next morning, played number 8 San Xavier, and also won in 4. So yeah, like I said, 2-1, good start to the weekend. Really tough competition, and what we kind of wanted was just like a measuring stick of where we feel like we kind of stacked up, and I think where we stack up is maybe worse than 4 and better than 8. I don't know,
Right.
So kind of in between, kind of where we thought. So yeah, it was a good opening weekend for us to kind of get some of that stuff figured out.
Yeah. I mean, you had some new. Let's talk about the old individuals, the old guard that you knew. All right, we're going to come in. They're going to do well. It starts with Landon Krause. 2 years ago, National Player of the Year. Last year, obviously dealing with a lot of injuries, and now he's back healthy. And what did you see out of Landon in the first week?
Yeah, the healthy Landon, right?
Yeah.
That's what we see. Yeah, 17 kills in night 1. Just very much our. And I'm sure we'll talk about Ike in a second, but kind of our leader or co-leader on the offensive side. Landon's just, for lack of better terms, dominant. He puts the ball away at a high clip, and he's got a good arm and jumps well, and it's just he's one of those players, and again, some of our other guys too, but you watch him and you kind of just go, okay, I see how that works out. He led us well offensively last week, and we're hoping he's back to where he is normally.
Yeah, and then you got Ike on the other pin, and he takes care of business. And you said that he's kind of added to his arsenal a little bit. So, again, what do you kind of see out of him?
Yeah, again, same old stuff we've been seeing the last couple of years. Extremely offensive. The Ottawa coach sent me a screenshot of Ike hitting the ball, and he froze it where he contacted, and it was like feet above the block, like way over the block. Sure. And he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And so we normally, that's what we see, and we're normal. That's normal. Same old Ike, right? Hits the ball well. He's dealing with a little bit of injury actually right now, and so he's actually not serving. So we didn't get to serve over the last week, but offensively, very much the same.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go in detail with everybody, but in the middles, we're going to switch gears to talk about the newcomers. Britton Bialis, a person that didn't have a lot of opportunities, obviously, last year, sitting behind Charlie Figge and Eli Hero. But, wow, he just broke the school record for blocks, over the weekend. Yeah. So get the guy in the lineup and look what he can do.
Good start to his young career. Like you said, we got a few sets under his belt last year, not a lot. But we knew what he was coming in, as a freshman out of high school. We knew, could you ask for 2 better guys to sit behind? 2 All-Americans, 2 guys that have been with us from the beginning, like you said, Figge and Hero. So, Britton just stepped up, and he's done a great job. And, we're really excited about his development in the next 3 years.
Yeah. Serving was, as you kind of knew coming in, you felt like that may have been your weakest link, but you guys overcame that in 2 straight matches. I don't think you had any aces, if I remember, against St. Xavier or Judson, one of the 2. No aces, but you still took care of them in 4. So talk about, that a little bit and how you guys are just working around that, bump in the road right now, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a big bump in the road.
Right.
But still.
I think you can compare it to other sports, whether it's, third down conversions or, special teams in football or free throws in basketball. There's just always parts of you that you want to be really good at. And not everyone can be really good in all phases of the game. We've always just seemed to struggle a little bit. I wouldn't say we're the worst serving team.
Definitely.
And if you watch men's volleyball, you realize that a lot of teams struggle.
Yeah.
But you're right. It has been a spot of emphasis the last couple of years. And we didn't serve our best over the weekend. but I think we blocked well, which
blocked
which
extremely
makes
well,
a big difference. So the blocking part, and then just defensively working the ball in with our transition, so defense to offense was able to convert a little higher like normal. Just did some really nice things in those areas that I think made a big difference. But I mean, we have to find those ways to overcome that. We can't always have good serving nights. So to see us still perform well without serving the ball really well was obviously nice.
Yeah. Did you see the team that you hope to see when you really look at the whole weekend as a whole? Again, maybe didn't win by as much as you wanted to, and didn't beat Ottawa or whatever. But did you see the team that you're like, okay, this is the team that I know we can be?
Yes and no. I think every coach probably has ideas of what they want to see. So we saw some of that. But it's also about what I thought. I mean,
especially the first weekend, right? Yes.
So it's about what I thought. We struggled with certain things, and I expected that. And we also did some things well, as I expected.
Yep.
Like you said, it's an older group, so had a pretty good idea of what we could do. And I thought we performed well for the most part. We even performed well against Ottawa. They're just a very good team.
Yeah.
And you're going to deal with that stuff. You're going to deal with different matchups. Like they had two good outside hitters. We didn't match up well with them at times. They served the ball better than us. Those are just things you're going to have to kind of face as you go through the year. But it's about what I thought, and I'm definitely pleased with the results so far. So I wouldn't say anything different other than just that I think we have a lot of good things going on, and we just got to keep improving.
Yeah, it was a light week this week. So we didn't even talk about St. Ambrose,
Yeah.
but really quick recap on St. Ambrose too, and then I'm going to talk about just having a little bit longer break here. But
we had them a couple nights ago, and they're a younger group, and we had played them 2 years ago, so a little familiar. But our guys came out and took care of business pretty quickly, and that's really just a testament to we're pretty physical at the net, and we have a lot of size in our advantage, and so. Speaking of matchups, we matched up well with that, and I thought the guys played pretty well. So, a good, quick non-conference kind of foe before we get into next week. It was a good one and a nice to get a sweep on the road. So,
intentionally have a bigger break here of not playing this weekend and then going into next weekend going out to Ohio.
We're fortunate. The schedule kind of opened up for us this year. We added 2 more weeks, so conference play got pushed back. Where last year, if anyone would remember, we had an opening weekend and then we went right into conference play. So now we have this time to work with. So for me to schedule, I allowed ourselves to have a little bit of a break and just not, beat the heck out of our guys, right? It's a long season. I know we're going to be tested throughout the conference we're in. So just giving ourselves a weekend in between as we go out next weekend, like I said, to Ohio and play some really good opponents. So it was kind of intentional, and hopefully it works in our favor.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Coach. Like I said, they got a bit of a break here. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Mount Vernon Nazarene, Lords.
And Menlo.
Thank you. Next weekend. So best of luck, Coach. Once again, you're on the Coach's Show. We'll be back with our final coach of the night. Welcome back to the Coach's Show as we now sit down with head men's bowling coach Cameron Foster. Coach, let's get right into it. You guys haven't bowled in quite a while. Getting back into it after roughly about 6 weeks of a break and everything. Obviously, part of that due to a later start in the spring semester, but also by design. I think you guys wanted a bit of a break, but just talk about the last tournaments you were in back in Las Vegas.
So those tournaments, again, the guys are showing glimpses, I believe, of who they are. The first tournament, the Glenn Carlson, they had a good performance. They made match play again, which is great. We made 2 out of our last 3 match plays up to that point. That's just what it's all about, getting them that confidence they need. The second tournament was a little rough. Unfortunately for me, I ended up getting sick, so I was unable to help them day 2 of that tournament. So day 2, Kirsten stepped in for me and helped them as much as they could. So I think it was just the end of the week. It was just a mental straining, and then losing me and Kirsten stepping in as much as she could. I think it just the end of the week took a toll on them, I think, and just couldn't really grasp what was going on. But we had a good support system down there, so we got through it as much as we could.
Definitely. All right, let's talk about January. Not a full month of it, obviously, of practices because you're bringing them in a little bit later, a few weeks ago. But just what have you guys been doing to prepare for this final stretch of the season?
The main thing we've been trying to hammer down is their spare shooting. Spare shootings is definitely a thing that's going to make or break us coming into the postseason. It has in the past, so that's what we concentrate on the most. And then their mental game. I believe more than them that they are talented enough to do this. It's just now instilling that belief in themselves. Because I believe they're there. Now we just got to get that confidence in them. Because they've shown that they can compete with the best. And going into it, I think they can. So.
Yeah. Different format this weekend. A couple of one-day tournaments, especially the second day is a very quick day. Let's talk about, how to get prepared for this, and just how excited everybody is to get back on the lanes.
We haven't changed the way we prepared for it. It's definitely different. This is the first time we've experienced going to a weekend of 2 separate tournaments. So the days might be a little long. Like Saturday could be long, especially if we make match play. But really, we didn't change our strategy on preparing. I just know they're all excited to get back out. They're all itching. They've had enough break now. They're ready to get back out and compete.
Yeah. Again, right here at the end of the season, you've had a lot of tournaments. Where is the team from where you thought they could be at the start of the year?
Honestly, I think they're getting really close. The start of the year again was probably a little rough, especially Leatherneck. That was our worst performance since I've been here, unfortunately. But I think that was our rebound too. That was where they all right, we got to break down and we really got to start figuring out what we need to do to get better. And they've shown it every time because they haven't had that bad of a performance since.
Right.
So I think they're definitely getting way better than I anticipated, especially after Leatherneck.
Yeah. Finally, again, right here at the end, conference coming up. Now that you've seen a lot of the teams, where do the Statesmen stack up with everybody as we go into the conference, go into postseason play?
So, rankings-wise, rankings are saying that we're better, but I still think the field we have come down to them, but they've come up to us, I guess, however you want to look at it. But Culver, they've got a lot of really good talent right now. Hands down, I'm willing to bet that they have the rookie and player of the year. The same kid is going to get it. He's had an outstanding season. They're coming off a tournament win a couple weeks ago. So I think they're going to be ones to definitely watch out for. And then last year, Peru State, who we bowled in the finals and conference, I don't believe they lost anybody. So I think they're still going to be a threat. Those are my 2 main concerns on the guys' side for sure. But Culver, I think, is probably the one that's shown the biggest improvement and definitely going to show they're here.
Yeah, right, for sure. All right, well, thank you, Coach, so much. Once again, the Statesmen in Lawrence and Wichita, Lawrence and Topeka.
Lawrence and Topeka, yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence and Topeka, sorry, for the a couple of small NAI events this weekend, and then the Hoosier in a couple of weeks, and then we get right into postseason play with the conference tournament, etc. So best of luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Once again, this is the last week that we're recording on campus. We will be back at Wood Iron Grill next Thursday, so I'd love to see a great crowd as we return back out there, and we'll be there the rest of the year. Once again, 7 o'clock start out at Wood Iron Grill next Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us, and go Statesmen.